so let's get going. I'm calling this meeting to order 7:35, regular meeting of the Darien, Connecticut Parks and Recreation Commission, June 18th, I think I said that. First order of business is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was May 21st. Does anybody have any corrections or comments? I thought they looked fine. Tamara does her usual excellent job. And I know Ed reviewed them as well, so we're good. Okay, so if I can have a motion to approve those. Amy, second. Janet, excuse me. All in favor? Okay, no opposed. Okay, that is done. There. Okay, do we have any public comment from our 3 visitors? Yes. Okay, name, address?
Bill Van Loan,
Yes.
60 Raymond Street, Darien.
Okay.
I'm an RTM member.
Okay.
Park and Rec Committee.
And are you speaking on behalf of the RTM committee or on behalf of yourself?
Myself.
Okay.
And both. But,
Oh.
well, I am on the Park and Rec, but I'm speaking for myself.
Okay, thank you.
In the rules area, with reference to dogs, one of the sections has to do with having a leash or a lead, as it's called in the rules, 25 feet long. That means from here to where the corner is, and this lady, blonde-haired lady, that would be the leash. And then in another section, you have 10 feet. I think both of them are maybe excessive in their length and should be something more like 4 feet or something, so the dog is always very close to the person who is handling it. And coinciding with that, I think the rules you make concerning dogs maybe should also be similar to the rules that the other town departments have in this, so that the dog owners can't get confused about which park they're in and which rule they're supposed to do in one park and then do another rule in another park.
Thank you.
That's it.
What else? Okay, next on the agenda is the discussion and the vote for the establishment of the $100 fine for violation of parks rules related to dogs. We discussed this at our last meeting. We had a fairly thorough discussion about it. And as usual, we like to let things kind of sit out there in the public to see if we get feedback. I know that the paper covered it and had an article about it, whatever. I didn't receive any emails or public comment about it. I don't know if anybody heard anything else that would give them pause from our previous discussion.
No, I definitely think we should move forward with this.
Okay. Okay.
And the enforcement will be,
The enforcement is
By-
either the animal control officer or the police.
okay,
Okay. The park staff do not have ticket writing
yeah,
authority, and that's true all over town. So, but that, our reliance is on the animal control officer
Yeah,
and the
that makes
police. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts? You'll notice in your packet, updated the rules document on what is our published page 4. We noticed in reviewing it that, despite the amount of time we spent doing the rules back a year or 2 ago, that we stuck the violators may be fined sort of under, kind of in the middle of the section, so I moved that up to the top, as you saw, and then just said violators may be fined $100 per violation. So that was the only change. Yeah.
Is there a packet? Is there an extra packet then?
No, I don't have an extra packet, no, I just have
You can have
mine.
mine if you want.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Are we ready for a motion? And Jen, what can you just want to read the motion?
Sure, so the draft Motion was resolved, the Parks and Recreation Commission approves a $100 fine for violations of park rules related to dogs and the respective revisions to the Darien Parks and Recreation rules and regulations governing the use of Darien parks.
Okay, so would somebody like to move that? Nope.
I will.
Okay, I heard Mary Louise and Jan, I'll give you the second. Okay. Chris, we're just voting on the $100 fine for the dog.
In favor.
Okay, so, all right, so it's been moved and seconded. Do you have anything else you want to say
No, I
about
think
anything?
it matches with the rest of the town, so it makes sense for us.
Okay, all right, then we're ready to vote. All in favor? Mary Louise, I can't see your yes. Yep. Okay, yes, everybody's yes, Amy, yes. Okay, so none opposed and no abstentions. Okay, that is done. We need to get an updated, cleaned up, so I can send you a clean copy. Just accept the changes and send it. Put today's date on.
Yeah, all we need to do is accept the changes
So
to
do you
that.
guys just want to do that?
Yep, we can do that.
You can manage that?
Yeah, we already have it, so.
Okay. Post them, and they need to go to town clerk, going off the top of my head here, I believe it's town clerk, police, library.
Okay, we'll double check.
If I recall, and then I think they become effective in 60 days. If my memory serves me, it's not immediate. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, next, we're gonna have the world's fastest meeting tonight. Makes up for the many long meetings we've had. Mary Louise, want to give a little update on the
Yes.
arboreal landscape?
Okay, I had a very productive meeting with Jen and Lori and Sandy. Thank you. Understood money-wise in terms of what was left over from last year and what we have going forward. And I'm very pleased to say that the money from last year has been pretty much used up. And Jen has budgeted $25,000 for the 25-26 year to stay on top of the invasives. What's different is instead of the former invasives group overseeing that, it's going to be taken care of by the park and rec crew, who now know exactly where the problem areas are. They've also budgeted $25,000 to oversee the dunes down at Weed Beach, which, if you remember last year, we had a sizable group of volunteers trying to remove some of the mugwort from about a third of the area downtown, and it's been pretty much decided that maybe that's not the best use of volunteer time, and that we should turn it over to, again, an outside contractor, which Jen has identified and is moving forward with that. So this person is going to come in and get rid of the mugwort that has come back and continue to protect and add to the grasses that were planted last year, and in addition to extend the area out all the way so that the entire area will be taken care of, and they're going to maintain it on a monthly basis. So I think that's a good productive use. And in addition, $18,000 for 25-26 has been allocated for this arboreal group, whose basic purpose is the care, maintenance, and beautification of the park's natural areas. So basically, our charge is to identify areas of concern going forward, pass the information on to Sandy if it's an invasive situation or whatnot. Also ID new planting areas that we should address, and coordinate with the park staff, and if necessary, make some capital recommendations. That's basically what we're going to be doing.
Any questions for Mary Louise or Jim?
One thing I do want to say is a week from Saturday is the 50th anniversary of the Cherry Lawn Park, and That's going to run from 1 to 4 o'clock. And it is packed full of things that are happening. If you have any questions about anything that has anything to do with growing vegetables or flowers or anything at all, your questions will be answered. We've got a ton of specialists who are going to be there talking about composting, how to split irises, and on and on and on. So it's going to be a terrific event. If you can't spend the whole 3 hours there, at least come for part of it. It's really going to be an exciting afternoon.
What date?
A week from Saturday, the
28th.
28th. And if it rains, we have a rain date for the 29th.
Looks like it's gonna be hot.
Well, wear a hat.
Wear a hat. And there's a lot of children's events as well.
Oh,
Children's
tons-
activities.
Tons and tons of children's activities, as well as those for the adults. So there's something for everybody there.
And the garden club has gotten involved.
Everybody's got the land trust.
Everybody's
everybody's
got
got-
land
yeah.
trust.
I think the nature center's gonna have animals for petting
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kids' activities.
It's gonna be an
and
extravagant.
Yeah, there's gonna be
Indeed.
a lot of nice stuff
Yes.
going on.
Fully worthy of a 50th anniversary.
Yes.
That should be fun. Okay, so more on that group, but really, yeah, the conclusion of the meeting is that a very capable parks crew really knows what needs to happen with invasives, and
Great.
will do as much as they can using the time that they have available, and then the budget, because a lot of the work does get done on overtime, on the guys coming and working weekends or whatever, is when they fit it in.
I just have a quick question. Is there knowledge of invasives because they've been doing this for a while?
Yeah,
And so
correct.
consistency with employees and consistency with invasives, for
Yeah,
lack of a better
correct.
term. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they see it on a regular
Yeah.
basis, so they know where things are happening or creeping in, or where they notice it and where
Okay.
they
Yeah,
should
they've
take
basically been
action.
working on this for 2 years now.
Okay.
And, we've gone from where nobody was really paying any attention to this to everyone is kind of focused on it and knows what should be
Yeah.
eliminated.
Will they continue to liaise with your committee?
Oh, absolutely, yes,
And
yes,
you'll oversee
Yes.
projects and stuff?
yes.
Sounds like an elegant solution.
Good.
Okay, Jen?
Okay. As I always say, I assume everybody read the my thrilling report. Just to touch on a few things. So Weed Beach, those bid documents, as you know, we didn't have any bidders. They're being revised. We've made a few changes in terms of length of time and some things that we're going to do. We're waiting on one other review to see if we can make that change that we think will make contractors make it more appealing for them. So that we hope to have out posted shortly. Pear Tree, those bid documents are being finalized, and again, we anticipate those going out probably right after the holiday. The July 4th holiday, not tomorrow's holiday. So it falls funny because of the holiday. It's kind of screwing up timing, but so we should have those out shortly, again, with that work to start in the fall. Our ARPA funding updates, so Baker Playground is now complete. I don't know if you guys have been by, hopefully you have. The walkway has been put in and I think it came out great. So that's done. And the Cherry Lawn basketball courts that we've scheduled, we held off so that they wanted to use it for the garden event. So to play tables and things like that. So we held off till after that's done. So hopefully, problem is the rain has been pushing everything back and been making it very difficult to get contractors on a couple different things. So hopefully we'll still be around the June 30th timeline to get that finished. As you've noticed, the Spark Security is back at the beaches, at both beaches, now daily from 9 to 9:30. So we do need beach passes, beach stickers in order to get in or pay the daily fee. Unfortunately, because of all the rain that we've been having, our daily fee revenue is down about 47%. Again, it's just, I think we've had rain, they said something like ever since November or something, it's been crazy. So obviously that's having a big impact on us. Lifeguard, we had our orientation, they're all here, they're all getting trained. We've had additional trainings, in-water trainings. Actually, they did that last night. It was a little cold, but they made it through. We also have another coordinated training with Post 53 that'll be happening a little bit later in the summer. So we do that on an annual basis, but Jim does a good job really kind of making sure that everybody has their skills, knows what to do, and are up to date. Again, in terms of registration, our summer registration is down a bit compared to 2024. Again, I think part of that happened because there was the uncertainty about that last day of school. We did end up, once we knew it was the 16th, we did add some programs for these 4 days. So by the time we ran the information for this report, hopefully we had some other last minute people kind of joining in, but hopefully we'll be about the same when we come to the end of things. But, some of them are full. So it's, but again, I think the weather has really been keeping people, as you'll see too, from even the beach stickers, because people aren't thinking about it.
No.
And then last week when we had those 2 nice days in the office, it was crazy. Like people were just there constantly getting their passes. So I think until that starts to trigger, people to realize
Next week.
that next week I'm sure we'll see, we'll be busy and we'll see a spike, so that'll be good. Again, our summer camps start this week, meaning our Parks and Rec camps, they're like the half-day things. So again, some of those are at capacity, and we expect that some of the other ones are filling. Again, our beach permit, the stickers there, the revenue is up, but that's because we increased the fee, but the numbers are down, and it's easiest if you look at that chart that we have that's in the report. We're continuing to work with the Youth Commission on those summer camps. They begin on Monday, so that's been taking up a lot of time. We're busy making sure that all comes together and we can have camp for all the kids in town. And then we have our fireworks are scheduled for July 11th with the rain date of the 12th. Parking passes for that go on sale on the Monday the 23rd at 10 a.m. So that's both online and in person. It's $30. And we've raised about $13,500 with our sponsors this year. That include Nielsen's Florist, Rings End, Orchard Tree Care Specialist, Boylan Bottling Company, Palmer's Market, Federal Realty, and the Corbin District. So we're happy that all those different groups generously are helping us out to make that happen. And then looking ahead, we're already thinking our fall-winter program registration. We've got to start working on those programs and our brochures, but that registration will start August 20th for residents and August 27th for non-residents. As we're out in the facilities, our mowing and all that is in full swing, which of course the rain doesn't help. It's making it a little difficult, but they're getting through all of it. We're still working on fields with Little League. Our beach staff, our park staff, they're in on the weekends, raking the beaches, picking up, emptying the trash receptacles. So they'll be doing that through September. We did also repair a couple large patches of the parking lot at the Darien Nature Center. So we got rid of some of the major holes that were there. We've got a high school intern that's been working with that worked with the parks guys, which he had a really good time. So we may have sparked an interest there. He was hoping he could come, but we already have our 2 seasonals. So unless one of them backs out, one of them is already here. The other one is scheduled to start June 30th. And then in terms of just an update on the pickle roll court for out here, that is scheduled to ship on June 23rd, or the week of June 23rd. So hopefully we'll have that here shortly, and then we'll work to get that installed. So again, just the other things that we have coming up, we have July 25th is Spadtastics, will be a concert at Tilly Pond Park. That's with Baywater Properties. And then August 22nd, we'll be having the luau here at Wheat Beach. So we did have a date change because we realized when school starts, it was originally going to be the week later, so we've moved that up a week. But
So I thought Baywater wasn't.
they weren't going to, and then they said they were able to get these people and they wanted to do it, so they reached out and we said, sure, sure. So got one going.
Good, and Cassie's back.
Yes, Cassie is back.
Great.
I just want to say that as you're talking about the sponsors for July, I noticed the sponsor, the signs up at the McGuan look great. Just exactly what, as described, color coordinated, they look great.
Yeah, I think they look fine.
That's all I got.
I probably should know this, but are the bathrooms at the beaches open until the guards leave?
Yes.
Okay. Because that did not used to be the case.
Oh,
Okay.
now you have me questioning myself, but I believe so, because I believe they're the ones that lock them.
Okay. I think they used to get locked at like 7:30 or 8.
Oh.
It's sort of annoying.
No. Yeah, they do.
Okay. Any other questions for Jen? And I think Jen's being a little modest when she said she's helping the youth commission. She has been completely engaged in making sure that the youth commission camps get off and running this week. It's been taking quite a bit of her time. So, in terms of other park projects, I think things have had to take a little bit of a side seat for now. So she's been doing double duty. So I just really want to recognize that.
Thank you.
She's being very modest when she said she's helping out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So
My
hopefully
pleasure.
that'll get off and running, and then
Yeah. Hopefully, once they're operating,
operating. and
things
ready
will
to
slow
go.
down for me and I can get a little bit more focus back on Parks and Rec, but.
Okay. Any other questions for Jen? Nope. Okay. This is going to be a record meeting. Okay, let me just get to my notes. Okay. Chair's notes. Okay. Updates on different committees and meetings I've been to. The Great Island Committee has been meeting very frequently, or cadences about once a week. We've met 3 times since our last commission meeting, working on finalizing the master plan. We'll have another meeting with Reed Hildebrand next Wednesday to put some more fine points on the details of that, with the goal of getting that over to the selectmen in July. So we're really getting to the final strokes. Meanwhile, we've been meeting separately, talking about setting up events policies, because right from the beginning of the purchase of the property, we've gotten many inquiries for people wanting to host
Weddings.
Any and all sorts of things. I mean, just tons and tons of them. I know, Janet, you had the friend inquire. I mean, we're just getting lots of inquiries, so we need to start putting sort of a frame around what that's going to look like. So the committee was actually talking about that, the meeting that was going on tonight. Definitely have looked at the Parks and Rec rules, as guiding, gotten some information from other towns and properties, and really looking at how we Parks and Rec offer the properties. It's somewhat open-ended. It has worked well, in that we don't set really a maximum number of events that can be on a given property or whatever, and really we rely on the staff who's handled this well, to just, when we get inquiries for a particular property, knowing what else is going on the property in terms of the programming we offer or whatever. Great Island, we just don't really have a sense of how busy it's going to be, so a lot of talk about, do we set like a maximum number per month, or leave it open to a staff member to determine. So we're really working through that maximum size events, because there's just no precedent history. Certainly we've looked at Jen and the team have kept a really good detailed list going back years in terms of every, property we've had, so we can really it's given us a good sense of the types of things that our community likes to use our parks properties for. So we're having a lot of discussion around to get the right balance of that, and what that might look like, especially with the parking up there. Once that's finalized, how it's going to lay out, it's going to be fairly limited. There'll probably be less parking on Great Island than there are at either of the beaches for a much larger property. So that's going to be a limiting factor. So we're working on that. And as I said, right now the cadences, we're meeting pretty much weekly with the exception of the 4th of July week. OPC Operation Planning Committee we met yesterday. Some of the discussion was an update from Tracy Mara and John and Fred from the P&Z office, who was filling in for Steve about the housing bill that's going on in Hartford. Hopefully all of you have heard about that. And right now it's on the governor's desk, as he's away right now, as I understand it, but he's, as I understand it, either determine whether he'll veto it or sign it, but ask the legislature to come back into a special session to make some changes. Which seems a little weird to me, but that's what was said. But, the implication would be with these formulas that Darien, for instance, would need to add thousands of housing units, and the numbers don't seem to work. So I mentioned the context of when you think about if that were to come past, the pressure that it would put on our public parks and on our open space, and what kind of balance that would be. So
Yeah, thank you for keeping us updated on your forwarding of Jay-Z's email to us.
Right.
I found it really interesting,
Yeah.
so thank you for doing that.
yeah, he's
I
been
wouldn't
on
have
top
seen
of that.
Otherwise.
Let's see, was also mentioned, I tried just for my report to you to things that kind of touch on our work here as opposed to
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
You could
it's
certainly
very
watch the whole meeting. P&Z did mention that the apartments in the Heights, the properties next to Palmer's, are very close to getting their at least temporary certificate of occupancy. Sounds like the commercial spaces are pretty much fully leased, and that the apartments are well under the way to being fully leased. So, and getting ready for occupancy. So that's another group of residents that we can expect to be coming in this summer and using the parks and the beaches. So if you're worried about your sticker sales, that's another slug of,
How many apartments do you have now?
I have it at home. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think it's
Is it
quite,
100 or is
ish. I don't think it's quite as big as Federal, but I think it's in that neighborhood, yes. Yeah. So those are coming online very quickly, and anybody who's shopped at Palmer's this week knows that the parking lot keeps changing
And
direction.
they're in an age group
Every day.
which probably relies on our park facilities just a little bit more than.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we've been talking about this for a few years, but I think now with Federal Realty full, it's really starting to happen. They also mentioned that the people who are going to redevelop the property, the Parklands property, which is right next to Selleck's Wood, the gentleman who was going to do the project passed away, his estate sold it. The new developers, I guess, are coming in, going to apply to P&Z for some changes. They didn't really get into what I thought. He mentioned the number of units, so we'll see, but
I think it's 58 or 59,
Yeah.
something like that. I know we've been in touch. He's been working with us.
Okay, good.
And the land trust in
Yeah,
relation to
land trust as well.
Selleck's Woods. So
Good.
they've been very open and receptive and helpful, and actually they held off the demolition of the building so that we could have Adventure Day.
okay.
So
Good.
they're really trying to work well with us, which
Excellent.
is great.
Yeah, because that's like right.
Yeah, and
Thanks.
also
Yeah.
about parking and everything else.
Right.
Lots of
Yeah,
discussions.
they promised parking to us and improved entrance and stuff,
Yeah.
which I think was part of the P&Z approval. And that carries to the new owners, and to not live up to those commitments, P&Z would have to say, never mind, and I don't expect that would happen. But so that's coming as well. The RTM had its public hearing on the harbor ordinances. Susan and Adele have been very intimately involved in that. That was last week. They're going to be working more over the summer to fine-tune the document. The area will be voted on by the RTM not until September, so yeah, at best. So any changes really aren't in effect for this voting season. So that's it. As I mentioned, Coastal Commission is meeting tonight, but I'm here, so I'm not there. So anything else that happens on that? Yeah.
Lauren,
Yeah, I'm good.
what do
Yes.
you know about Thorndale Circle? Any,
I just know that it was approved.
okay.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I think, a couple hundred more units or close to it. Yeah, yeah, that setting and what I read about it, it's more park-like. I believe it's gonna have a swimming pool. Just, my sense is it's gonna have some more feel of open space and some greenery and whatever, unlike all the projects along the heights in downtown. I mean, they're like right up against the sidewalk. There's, very few trees, no grass or whatever. So you really think about those folks needing, if they want to have a picnic or whatever, you can really envision them going out in the park. My understanding is the Parklands, which probably be fears of, at least I think they're going to have more green space.
Okay.
But there's also an interest, it's been mentioned of a more little, pocket developments in towns, or little, smaller buildings with, even 8 or 10 units or whatever, and that we may see more of those coming up. So it's definitely going to put pressure on all of the infrastructure. The POCD, remember we met with Planning and Zoning, the Planning and Conservation Development did a survey. Those results were published on June 11th. I have not looked at them yet, but that's on my to-do list. So I think that would be worth all of us taking a look at and seeing kind of what feedback and what, to the extent stuff comes up about people's feeling about our parks and our open spaces. I think that's important information to have. So please take a look at that. And there will be a public an open house for public input on July 9th at 7 p.m. That's at the Mather, the Senior Center, the Mather Center cafeteria. I think it's called the Cafeteria Extension. It's the downstairs room. I've gone to meetings there at 7 p.m. I have a Great Island meeting on July 9th, so if any or a few of you could get to that, I'm sure it'll be recorded. That would and cover that would be great, but I have a conflict. And I think that is it. Jen gave you the update on the beach projects, which hopefully we can get those going. That's about it since last month. Any questions? No. Any idea when we're going to get that report on the accessibility audit?
I don't, all they were saying, I think, was over the summer.
Okay.
So I'm not sure when, because that'll be very interesting
That
when we get it. We're going to have a lot of work to do.
We're going to have a lot of work to do and a lot of diving in, and that'll sort of coordinate with the beginning of budgeting season. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely need to think about that. I know we have some funds from the Cherry Lawn fundraiser left, so
Is that state? Is that reviewed federal, state, what is it?
The access audit, so it was something that was done through Westcog, and they got together, so most of our communities along here, they hired a consultant, and they're coming in and doing this at like all the different communities in the area, and they've come in, they've inspected all of our locations, town hall, whatever, and then they'll be giving us a report. They also look at the program aspect as well as the facilities, and will be giving us recommendations, and I believe also trying to help prioritize kind of how things should be checked off the list. Some are going to be very simple, some are going to be bigger, some are, as you make a change to, as you do a renovation, what would you do, or where can you fix things? Some things are probably going to be flagged and say, well, you need to take care of this right away. But some of it is even about, we talked about how like the website, right? There's certain things that how things need to be on the website, so they'll review that as well. So for visually impaired, there's certain fonts, color, there's all different ways that you're supposed to do different things. So they'll be giving us the whole report, town-wide report. It's not just Parks and Recreation, it's
they cover
town-wide.
schools, town hall, any other
Yeah.
public properties. So I think when we get that, there's going to be a lot of meat and discussion for us to start, delving into. But I mean, even at the study, the gentleman cited the location of the garbage cans, and I don't know if that one is compliant or not, but definitely we were sitting in room 206 at Town Hall, and he said, that recycling bin is not compliance because it's blocking the width of the access way up to the podium. So I mean, it's some very minor things, but then more definitely have real capital input. I know one they mentioned was the bathrooms at Cherry, that the flush handle is on the wrong side. Which is not something any of us, I think, would have necessarily noticed, but when he described why it was a problem, you're like, okay, I understand, I guess that makes sense. But it's something that the untrained individual wouldn't necessarily realize. So a lot of things like that we'll have to take a look at. So that sounds like that'll be a fall. We might get it over the summer, have some time to digest this, but more of a fall.
And it would be great if we have it when we go to do the parks tour.
Yes.
Because then we could point some things out, take a look at it, and it'll help us prioritize things. So.
Yeah, start feeding into the budget planning.
Yep.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we have it back. Because we met, that was April.
It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, I think that meeting was in April.
Yeah, and we've been doing it since the year before, in the fall sometime, I think.
It was an outside consulting firm, they were from Texas, but there's just a private group that comes and does this for municipalities. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? No? I think we're done then. Wonderful. I think we'll all take it, because we all know we have a lot of long meetings, so we'll take this one. Motion to adjourn? Chris, second? Cindy, all in favor? Yep. Okay, we're done. Thank you, TV 79.